I'm Shalini Jha, and it's my profound honor to be your host this evening. An evening not merely of remembrance but of reverence. We are not here to recall a name from history, we are here to honor a life that shaped it. A life that dared, that sacrificed, and that continues to inspire a nation. We've gathered here tonight to honor the memory of Shaheed Nanak Singh ji, a man whose courage never wavered, whose belief in secularism stood like a rock, and whose loyalty to the very soul of India was absolute. He didn't just fight for freedom, he lived and died for the idea of an India that stands united, just, and free. He believed in an India where every voice mattered, every faith was honored, and every citizen stood equal. And for that belief, he gave his life. But his legacy lives on in the values we uphold today and in the dignified presence of those who carry his DNA, his mission, and his memories forward. With deepest gratitude and great pride, may I now introduce to you the guests on stage, Lord Rami Ranger, FRSA, member of the House of Lords UK, and the youngest son of Shaheed Nanak Singh ji. Colonel Kulvinder Singh, elder brother of Lord Ranger, a decorated officer who commanded an artillery battalion during the 1971 Battle of Longewal. Honourable Minister of Petroleum and Natural Gas, Shri Hardeep Singh Puri, a statesman, diplomat, and one of the finest voices of modern Indian leadership. Sirs, thank you for gracing this occasion with your presence. May I now request everyone to please rise for Indian National Anthem.
जनगणमन अधिनायक जय जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
It is now my honor to invite Lord Rami Ranger, FRSA, the youngest son of Shaheed Nanak Singh ji, to deliver the welcome address.
Thank you, Shalini. These days you need the modern technology. Honourable Minister, Member of the Indian Cabinet, Shri Hardeep Puri ji, Padma Vibhushan Sardar Talochan Singh ji, former Chairman of the Minority Commission of India, Rana Gurmeet Singh ji Sodhi, Vivek Tanka ji. I have lots of distinguished people. If I forget to mention name, my brother Colonel Kulvinder Singh, his wife, I must mention my wife just in case. Yes, Professor Diljit Singh ji here from Punjabi University Chandigarh. Each year he hosts a Shaheed Nanak Singh Memorial Lecture because the message of unity is more important now when so many people want to carve up a kingdom for themselves. Member of Executive Committee, Mr. Ravinder Sharonji, the Chairman, General Secretary Vineet Nandaji, and Mr. Manoj Chauhanji, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we have a general, Lieutenant General in the front row. I brought the army just in case. A serving Lieutenant General. Oh, Admiral, of course. We have my very dear friend, he's my younger brother, I always forget. Admiral Robin Dhawan, he was the former chief of the naval staff, the youngest chief. Each year, I come to convey the message of my late father that the unity of India is paramount if we are to enjoy progress and prosperity in the world. My family, like millions of others, are victims of the partition of India. Over 1 million innocent people lost their lives, and more than 15 million innocent people became refugees in the country of their birth. All because of short-sightedness of leaders who generated religious hatred and divided communities that had lived together for centuries, sharing common language, food, culture, heritage, history, were divided because of religion. The role of every religion is to unite and not to divide humanity. Due to the partition of India, we have fought 4 bloody wars since independence, losing further innocent lives and wasted our meager resources that should have been used to benefit the weak and vulnerable in our society. History has a habit of repeating itself if we do not learn from it. Many groups in India still seek to replicate the tragedy of 1947. For this reason, we at Shaheed Nanak Singh Foundation have dedicated our life to promoting the unity of India so that no one suffers again as we did along with millions of other families. The unity of India is also essential for the survival of our civilization. Our civilization is miles ahead of every other civilization. If you remember, Chinese used to come and study in our universities. When we were not united, we suffered centuries of invasion. Those who ruled us systematically tried to destroy our glorious civilization. We managed to preserve what we enjoy today due to the supreme sacrifice of our selfless leaders. One only needs to look at a 2,000-year-old Hindu temple to realize how far advanced our civilization was. Without any cutting gear or lifting gear, they created those monuments. They still stand as a test of our ancient past. We were advanced in mathematics, science, astronomy, architect, you name it. As united entity, India has become the fastest growing economy in the world. Our space program is second to none, and our defense forces are stronger than ever before. Thanks to the Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji's leadership, India's standing in the world has risen significantly. The two rival superpowers, Russia and United States, respect only one leader in the world. And if I ask you a guess, you will say Prime Minister Modi. That is the diplomacy we have under Prime Minister Modi ji. The whole world is eager to invest in India, drawn by our values of religious tolerance, respect for women, and the rule of law, which is at the heart of India's governance. These values resonate with modern and progressive world. Due to the value of our civilization, the entire world is now benefiting from the contribution of Indian citizens. Indian CEO run most of the major blue chip companies in the West by competing with the best in the world. As independent, we Indians are now enriching the world culturally, economically, and politically. We are recognized as a force for good. I'm deeply grateful to the Honourable Minister, Shri Hardeep Puri ji. You all know how busy schedule he has, how much demand he has on his life. For this event, how many times we had to juggle the dates, because it is very difficult to have a leader who is representing 1.4 billion of us in the world. So we cannot be enough thankful to Honourable Minister. He has come to honour my late father and his family. For that, we are indebted to you, sir. We at Shaheed Nanak Singh Foundation cannot achieve much without the support of distinguished leaders like Hardeep Puri ji. They empower, encourage, and motivate us to contribute to the strength in strengthening India's unity. Today, I am joined by my elder brother, Colonel Kulwinder Singh, who has flown in from Canada with his family, with us. He was the first to arrive at the Battle of Longewall, bringing artillery guns and bombarding the enemy tanks until the Air Force came into action. The help of artillery made the Battle of Longewall decisive, which we so proudly cherish. There are a lot of people who made that possible, and I'm so proud that one of Shaheed Nanak Singh's son was also making a small contribution. Finally, I would like to pay tribute to my late mother, who became a widow at the young age of just 35 years, due to the assassination of my illustrious father. Our father was killed while saving 400 students of DAV school Multan, who had taken out a peaceful procession against the division of India but came under attack from religious fanatic. Our father saved the student but lost his own life for Hindu-Muslim unity in India. My mother arrived in Patiala on a refugee train, having lost her ancestral home, country and husband. She went to a refugee camp set up by Maharaja Patiala for displaced people from Punjab. Our mother's vision saved us. Instead of bringing valuables, she brought our father's newspaper cuttings, letter from his friend such as Swaran Singh, who became the Foreign Minister of India, Hukam Singh, who became the Speaker of Lok Sabha. A letter from many other prominent leaders who sent their letter of condolences to my grandfather. So she brought those with her because she said, nobody will know me, because look at the chaos that was generated by the partition of India. And they brought my father's certificate, which was, he was BSc Honours LLB, double graduate. He was a police inspector, received 29 commendation certificate from the British police. One day he was asked to open fire on unarmed protesters of INA, members who were protesting against the appalling condition of the prisoner. My father refused to open fire. He was ordered to open fire, dispatched. He said, not another Jallianwala Bagh. He was punished, posted to tribal area where he resigned, came to Multan to his friend and started his practice. My mother, having arrived in the refugee camp, presented the paper, my father's testimonials, to the then Chief Minister of Pepsu, Gyan Singh Radewala. He was very kind. He was shocked to see the state she was in. He immediately allotted us a house. He gave free education to the children and gave £50 assistance per month. And thankfully, my mother was educated. She could get a job in a primary school as a teacher for 75 rupees a month. I don't want to tell you how difficult it must have been for a woman to bring up 8 children and also instill the right values in them. She not only saved the lives of her children, but also made asset for the country. She worked tirelessly from morning till evening, and luckily, one of my oldest brother saw a newspaper, commissioned officer required by the Indian Army. He applied and he got selected. We realized this is the easy way to get out of the poverty and to defend Mother India. So one by one, 5 brothers became commissioned officer, and the same destitute mother, who was penniless, became the proudest Indian mother. Her statue was erected next to that of my father only last year by Punjab government in Amritsar. She also received the award from the Governor of Punjab as the most outstanding teacher. She worked very hard to collect money during 65 war for the war effort. Because, the spirit in us is come from our father. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to plead to you that women empowerment is a necessity, not a choice. If a father dies prematurely like my father did, he will leave behind a woman unable to deal with our uncaring world and mother unable to look after his children. It will be a tragedy for the family. I urge the minister to make university degree compulsory and free for both men and women. Education can give citizens independence and enable them to realize their true potential for the nation. Because the most important ingredient in a country are the people. So if the people are empowered, we will be empowered, the whole nation will be empowered. So ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for sparing your time and coming here to pay tribute to a son of India who did not live to enjoy the freedom which we enjoy so proudly. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Lord Ranger, for an inspiring speech. I now invite Shri Anup Bose to introduce our chief guest, Honourable Minister Shri Hardeep Singh Puri, a leader whose contributions span diplomacy, national policy and global leadership.
My very dear friend and brother, the Right Honourable Lord Rummy Ranger, Baron of Mayfair, sisters and brothers, I feel singularly honoured to have been invited to introduce my truly remarkable friend and most versatile diplomat, politician and minister, Hardeep Singh Puri. I've had the good fortune of having intimately known Hardeep for over 54 long years, virtually since the time I proudly entered the hallowed portals of my alma mater, Hindu College, founded way back in 1899 and acknowledged far and wide as the top-ranked college in India. If I were to share my myriad reminiscences and the unforgettable memories and incidents connected with him in my mind, I can keep on speaking and yet I will fall short. Right from the very moment I was helplessly drawn in by Hardeep's mesmerizing centripetal force, I conceived a deep and abiding admiration for his razor-sharp intellect, his brilliant and wonderfully incisive mind, his incredible grasp of world history and politics, his invincible ebullient spirit, his wacky sense of humor, his amazing capacity to squeeze fun out of any situation, his tireless zest for work, his innate simplicity, his handsome, prince-charming looks, and his disarming personal charm. His mystifying, inquiring twinkle is as bright as when I first set eyes on him. He's a perfect combination of intellect, integrity, spirituality, humanity, and humility. He's a veritable rock of principle, not starry-eyed about politics, but conscious that it reflects deep values that we abandon so recklessly at our peril. Hardeep has spent more than 5 decades in public service. As a 1974 batch officer of India's most coveted Indian Foreign Service, he has served with distinction as India's Deputy High Commissioner to the United Kingdom, India's Ambassador to Brazil, and India's Permanent Representative to the United Nations, during which he also became the first Indian to preside over the Counter-Terrorism Committee of the UN Security Council. As an integral and intrinsic part of the people's government, led by our beloved Prime Minister, Narendra Damodaras Modi, magic of developing India, Hardeep has provided his inspiring leadership to the Ministries of Housing and Urban Affairs and Commerce and Civil Aviation, and is presently India's Union Minister for Petroleum and Natural Gas, driving India's journey towards energy security and green energy transition with landmark innovations. Hardeep holds the enormous credit for having spearheaded the launch and successful completion of the Central Vista project, the physical revamp of the Parliament of India in New Delhi under Modi ji's inspiring stewardship. Hardeep is also a prolific writer and is a familiar face on national and international television. His best-selling books, Perilous Interventions, Delusional Politics, Back to the Future, Separating Wheat from the Chaff, and Delhi University, Celebrating 100 Glorious Years, which was edited by him, have earned him the warmest accolades from all corners of the globe. It is said that behind every great man there is a great woman, and not without cause. And behind Hardeep stands his most charming, bestest half, and cheerful ministering angel and IFS batchmate Lakshmi, goddess of wealth, Murdeshwar Puri, like the powerful rock of Gibraltar. She's not in our midst today, but I understand she's with her family who are in Delhi. But I'm sure she's here in spirit. Thank you very much. Oh, sorry.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we now have the honor of hearing from one of India's most respected voices. Please welcome Honourable Minister Shri Hardeep Singh Puri for keynote address.
Let me start by thanking the Shaheed Nanak Singh Foundation for affording me this singular honor of delivering the memorial lecture this year. The Right Honourable Remy Ranger, Colonel Kulwinder Singh Ji, this very distinguished group of invitees. There is so much eminence present in this room that if I were to start acknowledging everyone, I'd spend the rest of the evening. That is the time that was left by my friend Anup Bose and Lord Ranger. But I would be failing in my duty if I did not acknowledge my mentor, Sardar Tirlochan Singh Ji, Rana Gurmeet Singh Sodhi Ji, my comrade in arms and soul friend, Mr. Tankha Ji. He and I disagree sometimes, but I think we agree on more things, and I will not embarrass him in public, and we have this pact amongst us. General officers, admirals, I see a number of retired ambassadors. I don't want to start naming them because, as I said, it will take all the time. But I think several of you here are those who can't but be acknowledged. Prem Prakash Ji, I have conspired with him at different stages of my life. At one stage, he was living in London when I was accredited to the Court of St. James. And I think his contribution to our overall national task is second to none. There's so many others. I'm going to some of the most respected figures. I feel friends from university. I have several others, so forgive me. Let me try and do some context setting. I was greatly overjoyed to, can I request you to put up your phones, please? I was greatly overjoyed when the Right Honourable Lord Remy Ranger contacted me and floated the idea that I attempt to deliver this year's memorial lecture. I said yes immediately, but then we got into a problem on scheduling. And I'm very happy that we are here today, and I could not think of a more eminent setting. I first met then not Lord Remy Ranger, but just Remy Ranger. He was a very important person on the London scene when I was posted there, and I went there in January 1999. It was a difficult time because we had just a few months earlier concluded the nuclear tests in May 1998, and as we say in Punjabi, gore russe hoye sige. So I went there. I had an outstanding High Commissioner, and our job then was to rebuild the relationship. And it was no secret that the Western world in general and the United Kingdom in particular was up front in voicing their criticism of India having gone nuclear. But even then I noticed that the Right Honourable Lord Remy Ranger had human qualities, qualities of entrepreneurship, and I would say a desire to support worthwhile causes, which has only been developed with great intensity and vigor over the years. Let me recall for you that he won awards not only because he entered the House of Lords, but he was a recipient of many awards even then. I remember in the commercial world, he was honored by the British government, he was honored by outfits in India, which make giving awards a somewhat ritualistic thing when it comes to London. And he's been a great host. But today, when we meet to honor the memory and the life of the late Shaheed Nanak Singh ji, there are two things about that person's life which stand out. I've been a civil servant for 39 years, and I know that the civil service and civil servants are part of a hierarchical system, that they are so wired, if I may use that term, their minds are so wired that they, when they receive an instruction, they follow that instruction to the final point of implementation. So when someone serving in the British police received an instruction to fire on his own people, that refusal was not just the refusal of an individual, a good human being, not wanting to do something that he regarded as wrong, but it sends a very powerful message, more than civil disobedience, because that, for a uniformed police person to refuse to follow a command has consequences. And finally, when he was martyred, if I remember correctly, on 5th March 1947, when he tried to save the lives of many thousands of students in DAV College, Multan was it? Correct. Again, it sent a very powerful message. So here was someone who in his life epitomized all that is the best in a value system, and left his mother, his wife, the mother of my distinguished friends, widowed at the age of 36. And they had 8 children. 5 of them joined the Indian Armed Forces. And Lord Ranger made it out as if they only joined the armed forces because there was no employment. I know that's it's not what he meant, but that's an inference that could be drawn from what he said. But no, I don't think that's true. I think since she was the wife of a true Shaheed, somebody who had the best of the value system, she decided that for the sake, as he says, of the unity of the country, 5 sons serving the Indian Armed Forces, I think that in and of itself deserves a big applause, and I request you to join me in that applause. Now, 5 joined the Indian Armed Forces, served with distinction. The gentleman on my left, Colonel Saab, fought in the Battle of Longewal. That itself, you could have an entire seminar on the courage and military significance of that in our military history. But then this gentleman went on to the United Kingdom, integrated there. He was a very successful businessman, and then his many talents are recognized, and he was elevated to the House of Lords. So we applaud that, but we also applaud something more. We applaud the human spirit. We applaud, I think, if you don't mind, because you're not all Punjabis here, we also applaud the Punjabi entrepreneurial spirit. And wherever you go, I mean, I used to come across an expression which one of our late heads of state first mentioned to me. He said, I'd worked with him as a joint secretary in the Ministry of Defense, and then he became President of India. And he once came to, I think, Switzerland, where I was ambassador to the UN in Geneva. And he said, addressing a group of distinguished Indians, he said, you can take an Indian out of India, but you don't take India out of the Indian. So I'm sorry, you're a British national, you're a very important member of the House of Lords. In many ways, you're the voice of an entire influential group of people. But I think your Indianness lies at the core. And what I heard you say, Remiji, it's not because you are sitting here, I would say to your back also, when you talk about the unity of India, when you talk about the partition, I have, as you would have seen, I don't have a prepared script, but I have some ideas which I want to place before you. As part of this memorial, I would call it an interaction rather than a lecture. Remiji mentioned that the family was a victim of the partition. Actually, an entire generation was a victim of that vibhajan or partition. Was it necessary? I'm not in the business of rewriting history, but if you look at that history, I'm not also in the business of characterizing those 190 years after the Battle of Plassey in 1757. I think we're a mature nation. We should understand what happened and decide where to move on from here. I think these were two countries, which I'm referring to, born from the womb of the same mother. One, India, today is the largest growing, fastest growing, I use his word. It is the 5th largest GDP, 5th largest economy in the world. And I don't want to say there's many British citizens sitting here, but when we came from 6th place to 5th place and we overtook the United Kingdom, we enjoyed that the most. When we go to the 4th place and the 3rd place, when we overtake Germany and Japan, which is also coming, one will come in a few months, the other will come, if you believe the International Monetary Fund, by 2027, 28, we won't enjoy it, but this is all in the good spirit. Why do I say that the change here has been transformational? Because if you're a student of history, you have a choice of either picking on a small period of analysis. I can easily do a short analysis between 1947 and the Prime Minister said, when we are 100 years old, we will be Viksit Bharat. 2047, that's not very far off. We are already in 2025. But I want to take a slightly longer perspective. My dear friend mentioned cities in India which are 2,000 years old. I would remind him that even the most conservative people say that the Indian civilization is at least 5,000 to 7,000 years old. So we've been an independent country for less than 1% of that time. And where were we earlier? I mentioned the Battle of Plassey in 1757, but if you go back a little, you go back to the year 1700, the Indian GDP, not according to my, they will say my analysis. No, this is a man called Angus Maddison, who was a Cambridge historian, and who said that in the year 1700, India contributed roughly 25% of the global GDP. And in fact, if you take India and China together, that was roughly 50% of the global GDP. It's not without reason that some of our literature refers to that period of India as Sone ki Chidiya. But we had 190 years of colonial domination after that, starting 1757. By 1947, our contribution to the global GDP had come hurtling down to about 2%. When Modi ji took office, assumed responsibility, I'm talking about May 2014, our GDP was about 2 trillion. We were the 10th largest economy. Our GDP today is 4.3 trillion. It will go up to 6 trillion, 7 trillion, 10 trillion. When I was a foreign service officer, I was more than a cynic because I was surrounded in my profession by cynics. I see some of those guys sitting here. They will say, yaar, sarkar jaisi bhi ho, India ne to grow karna hi hai. So I used to say, yaar, grow karna hai, but kis rate pe? We had a time when I think we denigrated our gods by calling it the Hindu rate of growth, which was, a few percent. But I think that's all unfair. If you get the right policy mix in, and believe me, I'm not one of those that we've got it right already. Yes, we've made many corrections. We've tried to unleash the, pent-up forces that we've got. But more than that, we've done something which I think is amazing, that we've reclaimed the civilizational values which were always ours. And we've used that as a driver of pride and in turn economic growth. I served as a young foreign service officer in Japan. That's what the Japanese did. I see the Chinese example. That's what they did. So let no one think that you can give up on your civilizational values or turn your back on your civilizational values and then think that you will get the driving force. No. If you reclaim what is legitimately yours, draw inspiration from it and use it as a driving force, then you go forward. Sometimes comparisons are said to be odious. So-and-so has done this. You've taken so long. No, don't forget, we have actually, in a country which drew on the sacrifice of his previous generation and our previous generation, most of us, I was born after partition. I was born in 1952. But my previous generation, my father came from Lahore, my mother came from Peshawar. They came virtually, the ones who decided to stay on and risk it, came virtually with only their clothes on their backs. And they rebuilt their lives. So there is something in the human genius. By the way, I've said in a lot of countries have benefited from the contribution of refugees. The United States is a case in point. So I can give you several others. But what we have done in India lifted 250 million people out of multidimensional poverty. And I think that's quite a thing. 250 million people out of multidimensional poverty. Where are we today? I want to fast forward. I don't want to go into statistics, how many affordable houses we do. I currently am the Minister of Petroleum and Natural Gas. I've had the privilege of being part of Modi ji's team from 3rd September 2017. 7 years I was the Minister of Housing and Urban Affairs, and in between I was doing civil aviation, as my friend Anup reminded us, commerce and industry, and I've been holding charge of housing and petroleum. But let me give you some statistics on even urban transport. Today, Delhi Metro carries on any given day 7.5 million passengers in a day, 75 lakhs. Now, many of us are familiar with global systems. We have already in India something like 1,000 kilometers of operational urban transport or metro lines. I've lived in Japan, I've lived in the United States. I was a very happy resident of London. Today, India has the 3rd largest metro system in the world. Bigger than Japan, bigger than Korea, bigger than the United Kingdom. China has the largest by far. Next comes the United States, which has 1,560 kilometers of urban transport metro system, but we've got 1,000 and we've got another 1,000 coming. And that 1,000 which is coming will come in short 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and then we will be as the second largest metro system in the world, overtaking the United States. Why do I say overtaking? I don't say it with any glee, because the United States is a highly developed country. They don't need more metro lines. Whereas we are adding metros all the time. One of the more or less exciting jobs I had, like in India when I was civil aviation minister, normally in a previous era, if you were railway minister, you were very sought after because every chief minister or every state minister wanted the railways to go from their city. Today they all want an airport. No, but they don't want just an airport. They wanted an international airport in their city. So UP's got 6 already. So when I talk to Yogi ji, I ask him, और कितने चाहिए? He said, नहीं बढ़ रहा है civil aviation, बढ़ भी रहा है. It's true. But coming back to some basic facts. Today, we have something like, I gave you the figure of urban transport, which is 7.5 million people riding by Delhi Metro. Something like 67 million people go to a petrol station or a retail bunk every day to fill up on petrol, diesel, CNG. We started with biofuel blending. When I was in the ambassador to Brazil, the previous government, they were very keen to have 5% blending in 10 of our states and union territories. We never crossed 1.4%. Tankaji, it's not anybody's fault. It's just that we didn't have the ecosystem. The same ecosystem, once we devised a change, we moved from 1.4% in 2014. We were supposed to do 10% by 2022. I had just become minister in 21 of petroleum and natural gas. And I used to shudder. I said, "Kaise hoga?" We did it 5 months in advance. Instead of November 22, we did it by May 22. We were supposed to do 20% blending by 2030. We brought it 6 years forward. We've already done 20% blending. So the other day, somebody floated a mischievous piece of news saying, minister has announced we're going to do 30% blending. So I had half a dozen people trolling me, saying, "Kisne decide kya, gaadi kharab ho jayega?" Usual. I had to say, "Ke bhai, we've done 20%. Now we are going to think about where we are going in future." But we haven't taken the decision. But today, the India story is important not just because of artificial intelligence, all the other breakthroughs in technology, the EVs. I mean, I went to a function that I think one of my colleagues had a hand in organizing. It is called Bharat Mobility. And, you know, I'm a cynic by nature. I made a cynic. When somebody tells me to do something, हाँ, करेंगे, कैसे होगा? When I was walking in, somebody said, 17 models यहाँ पे है. 17 models are here, which are going to be displayed. तो मैंने कहा, डिस्प्ले का क्या मतलब होता? आज डिस्प्ले करो, 6 साल बाद गाड़ी, ये नहीं सर, अब देखना, ये 17 मॉडल्स ऐसे हैं, they're ready to come into the market straight away. Next generation cars, fueled on batteries, EVs, hybrids, where the battery, if you drive the car up to 40 kilometers, you're using the battery. If you do it more than 40, you're using flexi fuel, you're using ethanol, and the battery gets charged. So, I want to tell you, Remy ji, that the generation which made sacrifices, I think it's important to remind ourselves about some of these things, because the generation which was born after me, I was born 5 years after the partition. I know my parents lived in a refugee camp and so did several others. But the generation which came much later thought that this was a given. You know, you had independence. No, you had to struggle for the independence. And what I was most fascinated about when I read your Father Saab's tribute to him, he was a lawyer for the INA. Now, the fact that the INA itself came into being, and this is again Modi ji, you had, Subhash Chandra Bose statue. Earlier it was what? King George V? Yes. No, I respect that, because this whole complex was designed in 1916. When you ask when was the parliament built, around 1922, it was never designed to be the parliament of a newly independent country. It was designed to be the legislature of a colonial power. And that is what it was. I don't think anybody had any pretense about it. So, I can score political points, that we did it, you did. No. Sometimes the time comes after 70 years, you think you have to do it. But all I'm saying is that today when you see, when I was Housing and Urban Affairs Minister and I had foreign audiences, and we all have this habit of trying to say impressive things in front of foreign audiences. We don't regard you as foreign, by the way. I regard both of you as homegrown. I used to tell them about a McKinsey study which used to tell us how many million square feet of urban space we are building every year. Mind-boggling. The amount of urban space we are building every year, the figure escapes me. One of my chaps here will tell me, but I'll tell you, I think 7 or 9 million square feet. That's the building of a Chicago every year. Now, if you were a long resident of Delhi, when my mother gave birth to me, Safdarjung Hospital was the end of Delhi. If you're coming in from there. Everything beyond that was barren land, jungle. Today, Safdarjung airport is somewhere at the center or the beginning of the thing, because you've got the city spreading. The population in Delhi prior to the partition, if I remember correctly, was 8,800,000. After the partition, after the refugees came in, it was 22 lakhs. Prem Prakash ji, unki nahi hoegi 2 crore when the census is done? Absolutely. So, country has changed, country has grown, and fortunately, and I started by saying, these are two countries born from the womb of the same mother. One is going to be the third largest economy in 2 years' time, and the other, I don't want to say anything. I don't want to say anything. If you look at energy, we have a situation today where the honest God's truth is that the three challenges or the trilemma of availability, affordability, and sustainability, we managed. And in the coming period, we will manage even better. So, the sacrifices that were made by that generation, today we are honoring your late father, we are honoring your family, we are honoring the spirit in which a mother left widowed at the age of 36 or 38? 35. Okay, that's my notes when I took notes. 35 with 8 children, and they reinvented themselves, and look at what they've done. Our hero from the Battle of Longewal is in Toronto. I'm sure, looking at him, he's doing very well. And so are, I'm sure, his offspring. This gentleman to my right, I know he's been doing very well even before he went to the House of Lords. But this is what the spirit of serving the country, of progress, and that is what makes our country and our people what they are. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for inspiring us and encouraging us with the India growth story. May I now request Lord Rami Ranger to kindly felicitate the Honourable Minister with the Soul of India Award.
Can you please take your seat?
Request the audience to take the seat, please.
It gives me great honor to present the Soul of India Award is given to those who go the extra mile for Mother India. Thank you. This is the story written by our illustrious journalist Prem Prakash ji. It should go into the census library, and it's got a chapter on my father's life. Wonderful. This is the book written by Sardar Dalveer Daljit ji, professor from Punjab University. Yes, so they host lecture every year, and you present that book. I take this back. You present.
You're taking it back to give it back to me.
Yes, yes. I'm a businessman. You never know.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We should go to the visitors. Thank you.
To bring this heartfelt evening to a close, may I now invite Mr. Ravindra Singh Shoran to render the vote of thanks.
श्री हरदीप सिंह पुरी साहब, माननीय मंत्री पेट्रोलियम एंड नेचुरल गैस, इस धन्यवाद ज्ञापन प्रस्ताव की शुरुआत मैं साल 1947 से करूंगा, जब 7 बच्चों के साथ, 7 बच्चे हाथों में और एक पेट में लेकर एक महिला कोयले के इंजन में बैठकर मुल्तान से हिंदुस्तान के इस हिस्से में पहुंची। अगर वो महिला इतनी बहादुरी ना दिखाती तो आज हमारे बीच ना तो लॉर्ड रमी रेंजर होते, जो आज हिंदुस्तान की आवाज़ बनकर हाउस ऑफ लॉर्ड्स में जब दहाड़ते हैं तो पूरा विश्व सुनता है, ना हमारे बीच में कर्नल कुलविंदर साहब जैसे सेनापति होते जिन्होंने लोंगेवाल में पाकिस्तान को नाको चने चबा दिए, और ना वो 5 बहादुर सेनापति होते जो एक मां के बेटे 2 युद्धों में अलग अलग जगह पर तैनात थे, तो कभी चीन से उन्होंने लोहा लिया तो कभी पाकिस्तान के दांत खट्टे किए। तो ऐसी मां को सबसे पहले मैं धन्यवाद देना चाहता हूं। फिर मैं धन्यवाद देना चाहूंगा शहीद नानक सिंह को, जिन्होंने अपनी जिंदगी और अपने बच्चों की परवाह ना करते हुए उन बच्चों को सबसे महत्वपूर्ण समझा जो उस रोज मार्च के 1947 में उस दिन उस स्कूल में फंसे हुए थे, और अपनी जान को न्यौछावर करके उन बच्चों की जान बचाई, जिनमें से कोई इस प्रदेश का, किसी प्रदेश का मंत्री बना होगा, कोई मुख्यमंत्री, कोई बड़ा अधिकारी बना होगा। तो शहीद नानक सिंह जी को भी धन्यवाद देना चाहता हूं। मैं माननीय मंत्री जी का भी धन्यवाद देना चाहता हूं, जो अपने कीमती समय से निकाल कर हमारे बीच में आए। मुझे याद है जब लॉर्ड साहब के साथ मैं आपके पास गया साहब, लॉर्ड साहब ने बताया तो 1 मिनट में मंत्री जी तैयार हो गए कि इतनी इंस्पिरेशनल स्टोरी जिस व्यक्ति की हो उसके कार्यक्रम में तो मैं ज़रूर आऊँगा। तो ऐसी शहीदों के प्रति समर्पण की भावना, और जिस दौर में यूक्रेन का युद्ध चल रहा था उस वक्त हिंदुस्तान के बच्चे अलग अलग मुल्कों में फंसे थे, यूक्रेन में फंसे थे, तो माननीय प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने सबसे बड़ी जिम्मेदारी श्री हरदीप सिंह पुरी साहब के लगाई, और इनको चुना हंगरी में जाके उन बच्चों को हिंदुस्तान वापस लाने के लिए। तो एक शहीद जिसने दूसरों को, बच्चों को जान बचाने के लिए अपनी जिंदगी न्यौछावर कर दी, और एक मंत्री जो दूसरे के बच्चों को लेके आने के लिए अपनी जिंदगी दांव पर लगा देगा, उससे बेहतरीन व्यक्ति कौन होगा जो शहीद नानक सिंह के बारे में हमारे साथ बात कर सके। अब मैं नानक सिंह परिवार की टीम का भी धन्यवाद अदा करना चाहता हूं। हमारे फाउंडेशन श्री नवनीत सोनी जी, हमारे अध्यक्ष, श्री विनीत नंदा जी जनरल सेक्रेटरी, भाई मनोज चौहान, श्री आलोक गोयल जी, और साथ ही साथ बहन शालिनी, डॉक्टर रीना शर्मा जी का भी बहुत धन्यवाद करना चाहता हूं। जरा एक बार जोरदार तालियां इनके लिए भी बता दीजिए। अब धन्यवाद जी, डॉक्टर पूजा हमारी टीम के सदस्य, महत्वपूर्ण सदस्य। धन्यवाद हमारा अधूरा रह जाएगा अगर हम लोग लेडी रेनू रेंजर का याद नाम ना रखेंगे। जितना सेक्रीफाइस अपनी इच्छाओं का लॉर्ड रमी रेंजर साहब के लिए इन्होंने किया, मुझे लगता है इतना सेक्रीफाइस किसी ने नहीं किया होगा। तो लेडी रेनू रेंजर और वीनू सिंह जी हमारे बीच हैं, उन दोनों का मैं धन्यवाद अदा करता हूं। आप लोगों की वजह से आज हम लोगों को यह दिन देखना पड़ा। आप लोगों के सेक्रीफाइस के चलते लॉर्ड रमी रेंजर साहब आज तरक्की इतनी हासिल कर पाए, और साथ ही विनू सिंह जी आपकी वजह से कर्नल साहब देश की सीमाओं की रक्षा कर पाने में कामयाब रहे। साथ ही मैं धन्यवाद अदा करूंगा प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी का भी, जिन्होंने हमारे इतने साल पुराने संघर्ष को एक साकार स्वरूप दिया और राम मंदिर के निर्माण में बहुत अहम योगदान दिया। राम मंदिर का निर्माण करवाया। अब राम मंदिर की एक रेप्लिका, एक यादगार के तौर पर हम लोग इस कार्यक्रम के आखिर में माननीय मंत्री जी आपको भेंट करना चाहेंगे। आपकी बड़ी मेहरबानी। सारी कमेटी से मैं गुजारिश करूंगा, माननीय त्यागी जी, DK त्यागी साहब और वेद टंडन जी। DK त्यागी साहब, नरेश जी आगे आना सर।
जय श्री राम, जय श्री राम, जय श्री राम।